Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. It's Kaylan Alex. If you're new here, welcome. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you so much for tuning in. So guys, today we're going to be discussing trends and classics. This is a little composition that I've put together of different bags or different styles of bags that we're going to chat about whether or not they're trendy or if they're a classic and a wardrobe staple. So let's go ahead and get started with the video. The first brand that I have on the list, or like the first little items that I have on the list, are from Jacquemus. They're going to be the Bambino bag and the Chiquito. Now, these are bags that I feel like are extremely popular. I feel like Jacquemus is really, doing their thing with clothing and the handbags. I feel like they're super popular right now. I don't know that they have been around long enough to consider them a classic, but I kind of do feel like, or I would want to see Jacquemus be a classic brand. I personally prefer the clothes over the handbag selection, although I think they're both nice. If I had to choose between the Bambino and then the Chiquito, I prefer the Bambino style. I feel like this style, because it has that top handle, it kind of like is smooth, and the shape of the bag is something that I feel I gravitate a little bit more towards. I feel like this particular one is going to be one that is a classic for Jacquemus. Now, I do know that they're still, figuring it out when it comes to that and the different styles. But I feel like this pop of color, the style, especially in the Bambino, I would like to see this be a classic. It is very trendy right now, but I feel like if they play their cards right, this could definitely move into a classic style for the brand. Now, like I mentioned before, I don't just know that they have been around or established long enough to be considered like a classic, but for the brand, I feel like the Bambino, we should definitely try to make that a classic Jacquemus. Now, some would argue that maybe the Chiquito is a better classic for the brand because that is the signature unique style that we know from the brand, that the elongated or exaggerated handle with the smaller bag in comparison to the handle. I just personally don't really care for this bag. Now, I did consider the little Chiquito, which is the smaller one, but the larger ones, I don't know, it's just for some reason they just don't speak to me. I just feel like that's just not really my vibe. So I'm gonna just throw them in the trend. I feel like they are hot and doing their little number right now, but I feel like the Bambino is really the one that's gonna take the lead on this one. It has also come out in a extra large exaggerated size that I, for some reason, was like, I think I kind of want that. I don't really know why I would need a large Bambino, but I like that I like what they're doing with this style and experimenting with it. So for right now, in this very moment, I'm gonna consider this a trend. Next that I have on the list is Balenciaga, specifically the hourglass bag. Now, we have seen this hourglass bag do its big one, as the younger kids would say. This bag, I feel like, has gained extreme popularity, and it has kind of kept a hold of that popularity for the brand. Now, we're used to seeing the city or the new, what they call the Neo West or whatever they're calling that bag now. We're used to seeing that style from Balenciaga, but I do feel like the hourglass has kind of like, been that girl for Balenciaga. I know also from an associate, or we were having a conversation, an advisor at Balenciaga, that Balenciaga is still trying to find their like it bag. They're trying to figure out, how each brand has their like signature bag, the bag that no matter what, everyone goes to the brand for that particular bag. Chanel has their classic flats, Hermes has their Birkin Kellys, Louis Vuitton has their Never Fools and their Speedies. Each brand kind of has that go-to. And I feel like the hourglass could definitely be that for Balenciaga. Again, it's not one of those items that has been around long enough for me to consider a classic, but I also don't know that I would consider it like trendy, because I feel like it's been around for a little minute and it's still doing well. I feel like because of the shape of the bag and the fact that it's not too boring, it works. You know, it's one of those items that when you see, you know that that's Balenciaga. You know, it kind of like helps put a face to the name, because you automatically know. And the fact that it comes in different sizes, you can get really what it is that you want. It comes in different colors, different, you know, color combos. I feel like the hourglass bag could be a staple for Balenciaga. It's somewhere in the middle of trendy and classic. It has been around. I feel like it's been around a little minute now, and it's still, you know, popular. Like when I wear my bag, I don't feel like, okay, in 5 to 10 years I wouldn't wear this bag. Now I have it in the more of the cognac kind of color, that tan brown color. I think it's also the color for me and in my wardrobe that makes me absolutely love it. And it's something that I don't really have in my wardrobe right now. So it's another reason why I grab that bag when I want something in that color. And I feel like I would still think that and feel that way in 5 to 10 years from now, when, you know, we will kind of be establishing, you know, whether or not an item would be considered a classic. Of course, classics take time to become classics, but I feel like this is a good pathway for the brand. I don't know, that's one that we kind of have to like debate and talk about. I know I mentioned it before that someone has said that it kind of replaced the Alma BB from Louis Vuitton. Of course, Louis Vuitton, she's a classic. The Alma style, the BB style, she's forever gonna be there. But I do think that the Balenciaga hourglass does give the Alma a little run for her money, child. But I just don't know that I would consider it a classic at this point. So we'll have to see about that. The next brand we have on the list is a brand that we have seen blow up. Literally blow up these past few years. 2 to 3 years, they've been in their prime, they've been in their bag, okay? That is gonna be Bottega Veneta. Okay, now we all know how I feel about some of these bags, but we're gonna talk about 2 styles specifically. Is gonna be the Jody and then the pouch. I can never remember the name of the pouch, but it's the little clutch. Let's talk about the Jody first. The Jody is one that is super fun. I feel like the woven material or finish to the Jody in the different sizes is very on brand for Bottega. It's very on trend for them. That is what they do. This is a new style and a new wave that we've seen for Bottega for obvious reasons. But I still feel like this is a trendy time. Like, I feel like the woven pieces or the materials, if you get that finish from the brand, the design from the brand, it is very classic. But as far as the particular bag, I don't know if I would consider it a classic, because I feel like it's popular right now because the brand is popular. I don't feel as though in 10 years now, I say all of this relatively and subjectively, because if you're a person, if that's just what you love, that's just what you're gonna wear, that's just what it is. You know, like, you can't, that's just your style. There's no trend or classic to it. That's your style. But in terms of like the overall grand scheme of things, I just don't see that particular bag being one that transcends time and that we would consider a classic. Now, I also feel like the fact that we're moving more towards that hobo style bag again is another reason why I feel like we'll see this bag, or the bag has become even more popular because of that style becoming more trendy. And the fact that it comes in a mini version, there's a teen version, there's a large version, like, it comes in different sizes, but it's still on that same, like, you know, unstructured, slouchy style bag that we're seeing be very trendy. Now, like I mentioned, The woven finish of these bags in pretty much any of them is very on brand for Bottega. So I feel like if you were to get a woven one, that would be a little bit more safe when it comes to the brand, because it is still on brand, you know, for Bottega. So now the pouch, I feel like that is a classic bag, whether it's woven, whether it's the leather, the terracotta, I think leather, or if it's the metallic. I feel like this is a classic bag, number one, and I feel like it's classic for the brand. Now the pouch style bag is nothing new to the industry, nothing new at all in general, but I feel like because of, you know, Bottega having their moment, this makes this bag even better, you know, like you get the best of both worlds. I would consider this a classic because this pouch style bag, like I said, is nothing new. I feel like the woven from Bottega makes it extra special because number one, you have a classic design of a bag, and number two, you have a classic design that is on brand for this, you know, particular brand. It works, and it works well. Now, some would argue that this bag looks like something that maybe our grandmothers used to wear to church or have in their purse as a like coin pouch. It does give those teas a little bit, but I just feel like it's just a regular clutch, and it adds pop and depth to an outfit. I definitely feel like this is a classic, and if you were to get it in 5 to 10, let's say 10 years from now, you can still pull it out, because at the end of the day, it's a clutch. It's not logo mania. It's not something that, you know, would be easily, you know, distinct, or we know when that time period was around. It's a clutch, you know what I mean? So this particular one, I'm going to throw in the classic. Okay, now switching gears here, let's talk about Fendi. Now Fendi, we've had a little debate on this channel about her and the different bags that we've been seeing. So let's just address it all. Let's just talk about it all here. Maybe I'll be able to shed some light on my opinions and a little bit more in depth about why I feel the way I feel on some of the bags. So I'm going to be talking about some of their newer style bags, or some of the different versions that we've seen. The first bag that I'm going to mention is the Fendiography bag. This bag, I'm just going to have to throw in the trend category. I feel like this style of bag, of course, is not new. I remember having like a Gucci bag that was similar to this style, like back when I was like in high school or something like that, and it reminds me of that bag. I feel like this hobo satchel style, we're seeing that be the trend right now, so I feel like that is why this fits in here. But I don't think this is a classic. I feel like this is just a trend, especially with the logo, the chunky letter logo on the bottom of it. It's like, how do you even sit it down? Like, you lay it on the side, like we all know my grievances with the bag. But I'm gonna have to throw this in the trend selection. Now, of course, like I said, if this is a bag that you particularly like, this style of bag, I feel like it could be a classic for specific people. But overall, in general, I think this is a very trendy bag. The caveat to that is the fact that it is a smooth leather. It's a plain leather, and you don't really see the Fendi on it. Kind of gives me more of, you can get away with wearing this bag in 10 years and not being like I don't know if you still like that bag, because it is plain. You really only can tell the time period in which the bag was made because of the Fendi logo on the bottom. But other than that, it looks just like a classic style hobo bag. But for Fendi, I feel like this is certainly not going to be one that we'll see as a classic. Now, I could be wrong. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these newer bags that they're creating, how they work with the brand. But I just feel like this one is definitely just going to be a, for now, trend piece. So for this moment, for today, I'm going to say that this is more of a trend bag than a classic. Next we have on the list is the Fendi First. Of course, she made the list. So this bag, I'm still on the fence about. It is certainly not one that I'm running out to get, but it's also not one that I just absolutely love. Now, this style of bag as a clutch, I feel like is a classic, but the bag in general for Fendi, I kind of feel like it is more of a trend. Now, I actually would like to see this bag become a classic for Fendi because I feel like it adds a different line. We're used to seeing the baguette, we're used to seeing the peekaboo style, tote style bags from the brand. So I feel like this particular style gives Fendi a little bit more of a flair. It adds a little bit more variety when you talk about styles of bag from the brand. Of course, they have a few different other ones, but to me, they're along the peekaboo style. But the Fendi First is completely different from either one of those bags. And I think that's what I like about the brand, or the bag from the brand. It is different than what we're used to seeing from Fendi. So I would actually hope that we could see this bag become a part of their classic collection, because I feel like it works for the brand. Like, it is different. It is something that Fendi doesn't have. It is just that touch of Fendi on the top with the shape of the clasp that makes it, you know that it's Fendi, but it's not super exaggerated. It is almost a little bit toned down, if you will. And I do like that it is versatile in that you can wear it as like a clutch. You can hold it at the top as like a handheld bag, like a clutch, or you can wear it with a strap. I do like that aspect of it. The fact that it comes in 2 different sizes, you get a little bit more versatility. This one is going to be interesting to see how well it does, or if they decide to make it, a staple in the Fendi line. We'll have to see about it, but I do feel like it would be a good move and a good look to make this one a classic. That way it'll make it easier on whether or not I actually want it or not. Now, the next one is the baguette with the sequins or the different finishes that we're seeing with the bag right now. This one is very interesting, but it's like a no-brainer. The baguette style bag is obviously Fendi. You see baguette, you see Fendi. You see Fendi, you know baguette. Like, that is their signature bag. I feel like the baguette style is, we know she's a classic. She doesn't have to prove herself. She's that girl. Okay. Now, with the different finishes and stuff, I definitely feel like they're trendy. I feel like the prints, the different textures that we're seeing absolutely are trendy. However, I feel like it works for the bag because it's like a trendy or a fun twist to a classic bag. And I love those special pieces from the brand that are still on brand, that are still classic for the brand, but they have like an extra spice. I love my shearling Fendi baguette. I feel as though that type of trend twist with a trend, that works for the brands because it is still their classic item. Like, I don't feel as though you would get tired of them, so to say. Now, maybe, it's relative subjective, it depends on the person. But for the most part, I would still consider these in the classic category because in 10 years from now, some of the girls with the sequins or embellished baguette, you can still pull it out and it's like, wow, that is a nice bag. Like, that was a moment in time that pairs well with an item. It's almost as though they become novelty pieces for the brand because of their uniqueness and created during a certain time period. You know what I mean? Those type of limited edition moments from different brands, I recommend for people to get them. I don't feel as though they're too trendy to where you can't get use out of them later down the line, or that you would get tired of them, because it's still like a classic style from the brand. You know what I mean? So that classic style with the modern trendy twist, I still would consider those classics and good to go items, in my humble opinion. The last little category that I have on the list are the Chanel hobo bags and bucket bags. These, I would say 100% are trend bags. I do not feel like these are going to be staple, classic, always at Chanel items. These are definitely, certainly just for the trend right now. We're seeing that satchel, hobo style bag make its rounds right now. And I feel like this is they're putting their 2 cents into the puzzle, okay? Now the caveat to that is the bucket bag. Now I feel as though the bucket bag is a classic style of bag because pretty much everyone has a bucket bag style, or like, you know, like the camera bags, you know, everyone has something similar to that. So I feel like the bucket bag is one that is a staple. However, I don't feel like they're classics for each brand, but for the most part they're not super, you know, they're not just there all the time, if that makes sense. I would definitely consider them more of a trend versus a everyday bag. These specifically with the Chanel ones that we're talking about. Now I have seen some vintage Chanel the bucket bag style, but I feel like their vanity cases are more of a classic versus the bucket bag. Vanity bags transcend time better than the bucket bag. Now, of course, if you just love bucket bags, that's just your style, that's just what you like, this is going to be a time for you because you can get them from your favorite brands without having to like dig and search for them. They're readily available, okay? Louis Vuitton actually has a classic one. I feel like the Chanel one, if you're a Chanel girl, you just want the Chanel one and like it, this is the perfect time to get those items. I just feel like they're trendy for right now. They're not items that we'll see forever when it comes to the brand, if you know what I mean. But hey, those are just my opinions on the items. Let's talk about it. Keep it cute in the comments, child. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, drop a nice comment down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I post again, and I will see you in the next video.